We welcome you to Crown Corner. Will Pelagic, Jessica Charman here with you as we get you ready for the final game of a three-match homestand for the Crown. As we get ready for Vancouver, we'll look back to Montreal, and we got some real great news on the Charlotte FC front. What's going on, Jess? How are you?
Hanging in there. Excited for the show. Glad we've got a full-length episode here today, and lots to get into, both in the good side, but a little bit of less good as well.
Let's get the not as good out of the way first. A 2-0 defeat at the hands of CF Montreal. It was a match that I felt, you and I were both very disheartened by. I know that's something that a lot of people will look at this season and say, 13 points in 12 matches is a pretty, I think, great success for an expansion club. But I think last Saturday was the first time where I felt like we were outplayed by a side and really didn't look all that competitive. It left a lot to be desired, at least from my perspective.
And I think we went into it feeling a little disappointed by the fact that our side adjusted so much at home against a team that I think would have been a competitive, beatable side if we had played the way that we know we can. It's one of those feelings where it's disappointment because we didn't show what we're truly made of. We adjusted our formation. We played a little bit scared. We didn't really compete. Even though we played with four in the midfield, I felt like we were completely outplayed in the midfield consistently. And as we said in the broadcast, in moments, it just didn't look like there was the same fight and desire that we've seen in every match this season. So it's one that we'll look back at one that got away because we never really gave it a real shot in the way that we know we can play as Charlotte Football Club.
And I know that one of the things, you look at their defensive metrics, and I know a lot of it's ballooned by the way that they started the season. Like, they came in as a side who hadn't had a clean sheet, and they get their first one against us. You had mentioned that they had improved a lot and dramatically since the beginning of the season, but they had at least a tendency to leak goals, at least one per contest. The fact that we didn't get a chance to really show our stuff in the last third in a real great opportunity, I do feel like it's something where it was an opportunity missed for us.
But I think it's important to remember, before they even scored, we hit the post with Shinyashiki. Now, that's a great thing that he carved out of pretty much nothing. But I look at the Alan Franco miss as well and think about the whiff and a miss that was. And if you score those chances, it could have been a completely different match. But you're right, Will, when we did get forward, because of the 4-4-2, because of the conservativeness that we were playing with, our reluctancy to get forward, we didn't have the numerical overloads that we're used to seeing in that 18-yard box. We didn't have the runners to the back post. We saw a couple of opportunities go into the mixer, but nobody home to really make an opportunity of it. And I look back, and when we brought on the double substitution of Rayner and Josviak and moved into that front three for just a few moments, we instantly saw that we were able to get the ball forward more. So I think when we look back, one of the biggest things that we have learned is maybe the 4-4-2 diamond, particularly at home, when we should be playing with more confidence, when we should be playing with more aggressiveness and freedom up top. I think it's time to put that in the bin, honestly.
If you're watching us on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube, feel free to leave your comments. Our producer, Matt Hogan, will pop those up on the screen. We'll read some for you, and we'll also get questions from all of you at the end of our 1 hour together. We've got plenty to get to as well, including a conversation with new Charlotte FC forward Andre Shinyashiki. We're going to talk Vancouver Whitecaps with Corey Basso from the Vancouver Radio Network. And also, we'll get you ready for the week ahead with our supporter spotlight on a fantastic event last weekend with the coronation of Heidi Underhill of Southbound and Crown. but we want to at least let you hear what it sounded like if you were inside the park and couldn't hear us on WFNZ and the Charlotte FC Radio Network. Here's the montage from this past Saturday's contest.
Dispossessed, but goes right to Alistair Johnson. Johnson with a cross, padded by Kalina and covered. Nicely done by Christian, but that was a dangerous moment for Charlotte FC.
Really good from Christian Kalina.
Bender in the box for Shinyashiki. Under with a shot off the crossbar. Rebound, Franco, he missed it. Oh, that was so close. Off the corner between the crossbar and the right post. Andre was that close to the game's opener. Middle of the park, Swiderski. Swiderski's got no help. Coming along with it is Franco. Carroll still in the middle. Carroll with a shot. Save made. And Andre Shinyashiki, I guess, didn't see it. He had an opportunity to go possibly collect the rebound.
Come on, linesman.
Played to the kickoff spot. Now Kyoto coming forward. Kyoto with the two center backs around him. There's five for Mihalovic. They score. Kamara playing it forward for Lapalina. Lapalina with a shot, far post. Missed it right side. Flag stayed down for Lapalina, getting behind the defense. Right side for Swiderski. Swiderski approaching the area. Swiderski with a cross for Shinyashiki. A play made by Sebastian Burhalter on the cutting run by Shinyashiki. Alcima right side for Swiderski. Swiderski one-time shot, missed it left side, but that was very close from Carroll.
Really good technique from Karol Swiderski.
Headed once by Montreal forward to Kamara. Played in right side for Johnson with a shot. They score. Alistair Johnson on a long shot left side beats Christian Kalina, and Montreal has a second. The Mad Cat, diminutive but feisty. Kept alive by Alcivar, now Awful. Awful with a shot, save made by Breza, and Harrison Awful having a go. That is the final whistle. Charlotte FC bows to Montreal CF with a 2-0 defeat.
Oh, Will, we were pulling our hair out at the officiating as well. We didn't get to mention that in our little breakdown, but the officiating was garbage. And I listened back to the goals as well, Will, and that left some stuff to be begged to be different in terms of our defensive play as well. Just giving too much time. And that was one of our main sentiments throughout that match, was we weren't stepping to the ball quick enough, particularly with that second goal. Johnson was given all the time in the world to take a strike from distance. And these are things that will be ironed out, but they need to be ironed out quickly if we're to be competitive in more matches.
Well, it's the discouraging part about it is just, it wasn't like the goals came as a sort of build up on possession. You had one that was off of a busted play, and you had another that really just came off of a untidy clearance and a guy getting a lot of room in the last third. Like, it wasn't as if Montreal was a side that, held the possession for 70% of the match and just never allowed us to even possess the ball. And they got 2 goals because of complete tactical skill. It was stuff that I feel like is controllable on our end.
Yeah, preventable, without a doubt. And as I mentioned again, we just didn't seem to win anything in the midfield. It was like we gave Wanyama in particular all the time in the world to pick out his passes. We didn't follow with our runners all the time in our fullback positions. It was a preventable match. And like I say, what hurts me is I feel like we didn't give our side a true opportunity to compete against Montreal. We kind of set ourselves up for failure a little bit, but we live and we learn. And I think the biggest blessing we can take from this match is we're going to learn from it. And we also have the opportunity to respond on Sunday, not just in a fresh MLS match, but in an MLS match at home with an incredible crowd. And I know that 12th man is ever so important, and they deserve more. Charlotte FC players know their fans deserve more, and I'm sure they're going to be determined to give it to them on Sunday.
And that was definitely a sentiment that was shared by Brant Bronico following the match, saying that the chances were few, and the ones they got, they need to finish.
It sucks losing, but I thought we had a lot of good moments, and soccer is kind of just a game of moments. If Franco scores that goal that Andre had, or the shot that Andre had, and the rebound to Franco, maybe it's a different game. And we weren't as clinical in the final third, and we kind of got punished for it. But again, I think as still a new team, you're gonna have little bitty setbacks like we had today. You're not gonna win the rest of the games for the rest of the year. So it's just about going over the game and seeing what we can take from it and moving on to Vancouver.
4 out of 15 shots on target. I think Brant Bronico sums it up very well. It wasn't our day. It's something that we need to improve on. But as he also mentioned, we've got to stay grounded. We're a new side. We're learning each other. We're learning the system. And it's just something that we're going to get better at every time we play. But I think that we've talked a lot about our clinical finishing, Will. And, we're really quite a way through the season at this point. And it's got to be something at some point that we get at finishing killer instinct, because I look back at the one from Franco and I believe the more I think about it, it was him and the goalkeeper. And when you're 1-on-1, you've got to finish those, particularly at 0-0. It's a different match with Montreal if you score that goal.
Well, it's weird. One of the clips we played in our pregame show was about Miguel talking about Karol Swiderski not having a goal since the FC Cincinnati contest. And I think you and I both looked at it and said, okay, maybe we're not concerned because he is making the runs during contests. And we see plenty of that. We see it in training. We see it during games with him making runs. The problem is I feel like he got a lot of service in that Miami contest, but you go back to the 4-4-2 diamond and that took away a lot of his service.
And he's spending a lot of the time on the halfway line. And I love the fight from him. I love the battle. He's got as good of an assist potential as anybody on the pitch with the through balls that he can play. But if you're looking at him as your goal scorer and he's spending more time on the halfway line than in more dangerous areas, you're going to be concerned at what you're missing. And I love that you brought up what we spoke about in the post-game show, or pre-game show rather. We also talked about Christian Fuchs that was missing. We talked about leaders that would step in. But for me, I think we missed that leadership on the field. We missed that sort of get behind you after we conceded the goal. When we conceded the goal, another terrible timing to concede a goal. If there's one thing that we're consistent with, it's conceding goals in very difficult moments right before halftime. But we needed someone to just grab everyone almost by the scruffs of their necks and shake them a little bit and let them know we're still in this one. And that's where Christian Fuchs as a leader, with his experience, with his Premier League experience in particular, is a really important figure. And I think we missed not only him in a defensive position, but most importantly as the captain. And that's not to be disrespectful towards Guzman Corujo, who wore the armband. It's just that Christian Fuchs is such a spectacular leader that has gained so much respect from his side as well.
And not just a leader, Jess. I mean, he is tactically skilled with the ability to not only get forward, he's probably our best forward movement fullback when he plays in that position. And even when he is at center back, I feel like his defense is largely underrated. He's got great crossing ability. We can report to you, though, he is at least back in training fully this week, it looks like, and it should at least feature in the match this upcoming weekend against Vancouver. So that at least is an encouraging sign for Charlotte FC fans. Also some reinforcements back in training this week. Vinicius Melo making his first real training spots this week as well. He had been recovering from an off-season injury and surgery, so he is back. Chris Hagard, who got injured very early on in the season. We saw some great moments from him in the preseason and early on in the first two contests. The reinforcements are coming, and we also found out from Zoran Cornetta today that Kerwin Vargas is going to be in town tonight. So there will be options for Miguel Angel Ramirez to employ with this squad coming up very, very soon.
Options and depth and competition. And we speak about how important that competition is, because you need competition between each other. You want it to be friendly. You don't want to be wishing anyone ill, but you want to be kept on your toes. You want to be pushed to perform better. And when we're not scoring very many goals, it's good to have forward moving enforcements, because they're going to really tell the players, look, you're going to get your chance and you've got to make the most of your chance. Otherwise, there's 3-4 players down your line that want your starting position.
Part of that competition is our next guest as part of Crown Corner. He only joined the team a couple of weeks ago from Colorado Rapids, but he's become an instant fan favorite, scoring in his first contest against Inter Miami, also doing the same in the U.S. Open Cup. Andre Shinyashiki joins us as we go inside the training ground. To the training ground this week, we go to a guy who has become an instant fan favorite, and I think also an instant commentator favorite, if I do say so ourselves, Jess. Andre Shinyashiki, who is 2 games in MLS play and also 1 game in U.S. Open Cup play. He joins us here on Crown Corner for his inaugural appearance with us here from Charlotte FC's radio group. Andre, thank you so much for taking some time, and once again, welcome to Charlotte.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it. It's been, like I said, in every interview I give, it's been amazing. You guys have treated me with, such a warm welcome. So I appreciate being here, and hopefully it's just the beginning of something great.
We hope so,
and
too.
After you, Will. Sorry.
we hope so, too, man. Just real quick, coming over and really kind of in the middle of the season, it's not necessarily something we see a lot in this league. How different was it trying to get used to this new group?
Yeah, it was obviously the first time I've done it too. I've only played for Colorado and MLS before, so it wasn't something that I was, planning for. But it came at the right time. And the guys here and the coaching staff and front office, everybody has been great. They've made me feel acclimated. The club is really organized. Like from top to bottom, it's been really good, and I feel like that translates to success on the field. So it's been really easy, smooth transition. I'm actually moving into my apartment today, so that's going to be really nice.
Speaking of success on the field, obviously scoring in your debut in front of a crazy home crowd, how much of a special moment was that for you, and a real testament to being acclimated to the club already?
Yeah, like I said, it's a testament to not just me, but I think everyone, because everybody has made me feel so welcome since I've been here. And that's what happens when, you feel good, you play good. So to me, that was the biggest thing is, I'm going to a new club. I don't know what it's going to look like, but the guys have been great. Like I said, from top to bottom, everybody's been really welcoming. And I feel like when that happens, I'm able to just worry about playing soccer, which is the most important thing.
You have to forgive my partner. She makes fun of me a great deal. When you scored your goal, there's this thing apparently that I do subconsciously. She calls it the Willie shimmy. Whenever I do a goal call, it's like a little, I don't know what it is. I do it involuntarily. But when you scored, she literally nicknamed it the Shinyashiki. So I'm not saying that you have to shimmy next time you score a goal, but that might be something we can get to catch on.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I've kind of had a couple of boring celebrations lately, so I need some extra flair. So maybe I'm gonna add that one for you guys.
Just for me. That would be wonderful. It will mean a lot.
Okay, I will think about it.
Go ahead, Jess.
Speaking of being able, you said about, new teammates, but you did get a great opportunity to see some of Charlotte FC when you played against them in Colorado. Were there any players that you had played against that you were looking forward to now having on your side rather than against you?
I mean, yeah, there was a really hard game, and I remember just being like, they're doing some things really well, especially for a team that hasn't been together for that long. It's tough. I think I remember there was a really good play that Carroll made that I was like, yeah, it would be fun playing with this guy. I don't remember anybody specifically that I was like, I want to play with, but just the system in general. I think that, Miguel does a good job of having a system where players can thrive on. And so that was, something that I really enjoyed. And now that I'm a part of, I can see why it works.
You were very open about the fact that you wanted to be closer to the goal. He put you right in there at winger first time out, then put you in as a second striker. You were able to really pay off on that faith that Miguel Angel Ramirez has put on you. How do you feel like your game translates to this game model? Because I know that at least when they go with that 4-3-3, they get more of that width that they weren't able to get without wingers. And even when you were a second striker, you were making a lot of plays there, especially on some of those deep runs on the flank.
Yeah, like I said, I don't really care to play as just a striker. I want to be closer to the goal and, making plays to the goal. And as a winger, I can very much so do that. But, I mean, I scored from the wing position in my first game. I probably should have scored. I hit the post. I came pretty close to scoring last game. I scored in the Open Cup game. So, just playing close to the goal is where I feel like I'm at my best. And I've been pretty open from the start. Even when I was in Colorado and I wasn't playing close to the goal, I was still telling people that that's what I wanted. and ultimately they had a different vision for me, which is totally fine. But I think at this point in my career, I need to be with a coach and a system that sees me thriving in a way that I see myself thriving too. And so that's why the move came, and it's been so far so good.
And you talk about the move to your career and where you are now, but for those that are new to Andre Shinyashiki, can you tell us a little bit about your journey, how you got to Colorado, how you got to America even?
Yeah, so I was actually playing for an amateur tournament when I was 15. I was playing with a Brazilian club in a European tournament called Gothia Cup, and I scored.
Is that in Sweden? Is that the one in Sweden? I played in that one. Yep.
Yeah. So that's like we were going to play in, like, it's a massive tournament, but that Brazilian club that I was playing with has a massive exposure around there, and so I was scoring a lot of goals. And one guy from America, from Montverde Academy, saw one of the videos of me scoring a goal and offered me a scholarship. They were just starting the soccer institution at Montverde Academy, which is where I ended up for 2 years. And when I was there was a lot of colleges recruiting me, but nobody from the professional level. And then that's when I decided to go to the University of Denver. And there Colorado Rapids watched me a lot when I was in college. And so I feel like that helped, that transition. So then they traded up in the draft in 2019 to get me. And then I've been with Colorado for 3.5 years. And then, now I just moved here.
We heard a lot about needing MLS experience with an expansion club, and your addition to this club, I feel like, has infused a lot of that. What do you feel like you can impart? And I know that a lot of the players who didn't have MLS experience have gotten a nice load of it now with 12 contests in, but what do you feel like you can impart on some of your lesser experienced in this league teammates that they might not have been able to get before your arrival in Charlotte?
Yeah, I think the MLS is a very different league than most places in the world. It's really physical. It's really fast. Things happen really fast in the game here, and so we have a lot of South American players, and I played in South America too, not at the professional level, but most of my life, and I know that how different it is. It's a lot of dribbling, a lot of flair and technique, and here you don't really need that, and it doesn't really thrive as much here. So just sometimes helping guys to understand that it's a little bit more of a practical approach to the game here in the US, and that's what normally works and normally what gets you wins. And I think there's a lot of things I could talk about, how it's important to win games playing bad, tie games playing bad. You're not going to always play well. The away team here in the US has such a disadvantage because the country's so big, and because there's turf, there's grass. There's so much around the league that you get after you play. I mean, I think I've played like almost 100 games now. You have those like little nuances where oh, we're gonna play this team. That's what their identity is kind of like. And so, for me, it's just trying to help the guys understand all these things. Obviously, it doesn't come in 2 weeks, but hopefully, with time, it gets easier for them to understand that as well.
You talk about knowing your opposition. Obviously, Vancouver coming up this weekend, coming off of a tough loss last weekend. What do you think is really important about going into the last match of this homestand that we've had?
Yeah, I've played against Vancouver a lot of times. So, they're a very physical team. They're a team that, thrives in playing long balls and, winning second balls. And so we have to negate that because we are a very different style of play than they are. So it's gonna be a battle. But, like I said, it's the most important thing is to take every game seriously because, although they're not doing very well and they don't have that many points, they could easily beat you or beat any team any given day because that's how the MLS is.
So you have an Italian mother just like me. How great is she in the kitchen? Let's be real.
It's funny because my mother is not actually like Italian. It's her parents that are Italian.
Okay.
And so my grandma is amazing in the kitchen. She is
Gotcha.
On a different level. My mom, I think, just got a little complacent because my grandma was so good that she doesn't cook much. So unfortunately, I can't give that one to my mom. I just got to go to my grandma for sure.
See, my mother feels the same way. She felt like her grandmother was great at it, and then she's like, "Oh, I'm not that good." And I'm like, "Trust me, it hits different with the Italian roots."
Nah, it definitely does. And we in Brazil, like every single Saturday, I will go to my grandma's place when I'm there. And it's like there's no such thing as a small meal. It's like you have to have all the courses, you have to have the appetizers, then rice or pasta. Then after the rice or pasta, they come the meat, and then after the meat, they have the vegetables. And it's just like you can't eat them like if you try to eat the pasta on the same plate that you eat, like the meat, she'll get mad at you. So you just have to change plates.
It's a good job you're a soccer player, or you wouldn't look the way you do, right?
Yeah, it's. I feel like as soon as I stop playing soccer, I'm gonna be really fat.
We need her to meet Latanzio. That's what we really need. We need the two of them to compare Sunday gravy recipes.
Oh yeah, Latanzio. He's actually been so good to me and just such a nice guy. Has helped me a lot in already 2 weeks. So yeah, maybe I have to get him to meet my grandma.
Okay, I have one more for you based on your new teammates. We like to put you in a bit of a difficult situation on Crown Corner. Best and worst dancer in the squad?
Wow, that's so tough because I haven't seen that many guys dance. But I'm going to say probably Reina. He is always taking care of the music, so I feel like he's got to be pretty good at dancing because if he's always controlling the music, he's got to be up there. Worst dancer. I'm going to have to go with one of the European guys. Probably I'd say Carol. He doesn't look like he can dance. But to be honest, I've never actually seen him dance. So
watch him break out a move next time he scores a goal. He's going to do something really impressive.
I mean, I hope he proves me wrong. But I got to go with the Eastern European guys because those guys I feel like don't have that culture of dancing.
They've got no hips like Will. Will's got no hips either.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's only been 2 weeks. It's so hard to find out those things in such a short period of time.
One thing we saw on Tuesday training for the first time is Guzman Carujo either lost a fight with the bleach machine or what, and Yordi I feel like got like a Habsy done. He's got the Harvey Two-Face look. If you lost a bet and you had to pick between either of those two hairstyles, which one would you have to do? Would you have to go the full Guzman with the bleach, platinum blonde, or would you go halvesies like El Siva?
I would go Guzman, and I've thought about doing it to be fair because I've done it before. I just wouldn't dye my mustache this time because it looked horrible.
You had this blonde too? Oh
yeah,
God.
It's a look. If you look it up, you're gonna see it. It was a whole thing. I was like MLS Player of the Week that week too. So all the pictures I had bleached, it was terrible. But I still think that Guzman's looks better than Jordi. Jordi feels like it looked like an Oreos in his head or something. So I prefer Guzman's for sure.
You got to do the eyebrows too, though, because you got eyebrows like I do. You got to do the eyebrows too if you're going to do.
I'm not touching my eyebrows; they were way too thick, and if I start to mess with them, then it's just going to be a wrap.
If I didn't already love you, I love you even more now because we've had a lot of fun talking to you. We wish you the best of luck, not just this week, but the rest of the season. As long as you're in a Charlotte FC uniform, we're glad to have you here, and thank you so much for coming on. We'll get you on soon again.
Yeah, absolutely. No problem. Anytime you guys need, I'm here. And any questions, I appreciate the love and everything. So thank you.
But we expect to see a dance.
Okay, I'll do the shimmy if I score next week.
Yes. Thanks, Andre. That's my guy. I love him.
You told him you loved him too, Will. He knows. He knows you're in love. I hope he doesn't take out a restraining order or Crown Corner might get banned.
Oh, really?
I'd be terrified of you.
That's fun. That was a lot of fun. I hope we get a chance to see him shimmy this week with Charlotte FC. And he touched on something that Sergio Ruiz touched on as well when it comes to this squad and the type of competition now that this roster is basically set.
It was the first signing, and I'm right now. I see the roster, and it's incredible because we have great players with a lot of different skills and abilities. I think that we are a very competitive group and very competitive team. I think that it's just the beginning. It's just the beginning for the club. just the staff, the club, the sporting director, all the people. We are learning a lot. We are really happy here.
And happiness is the most important thing. Will, like, players play better when they're happy, whether they're happy with where they're living, whether they're happy with who they're being coached by. And you see them at practice enjoying themselves. And yeah, it was a rough game on Saturday, but they're glad to be here. And when you're happy and when you've got competition, you're going to strive to be the best. And as we always have to remind ourselves sometimes, because I even have to remind myself, we're very early days still in terms of the growth of this club. And I think we're doing a lot better than most people on paper would have thought we would have done at the start of the season.
Before we start to look ahead to the next match, you want to look back to something really cool that Charlotte FC did this week. They had a signing day for their unified team, which is a group of players who are both with and without intellectual disabilities coming together to play soccer. They're going to play some matches as a team together, and they're going to have a lot of great things going on throughout the season. We're going to try to feature them at some point during a future Crown Corner. But Jess, just another great initiative that this team continues to promote not only the sport and grow the sport in the Carolinas as well.
Yeah, it's a brilliant initiative, and it's something that is very near and dear to my heart. I was involved with the team a little bit in Atlanta, and it's a really special group. It's a really important way to show that soccer is a sport for everybody. And I love and I hope that we'll do some double headers and get the fans out there. And it's an incredible event, and all the supporters groups that showed up and treated these players as what they are, part of the Charlotte FC family. It is a brilliant thing. And like you say, looking forward to featuring it a little bit more in the future.
Not just the supporter groups, but we saw a real great turnout as well from a lot of the first team players as well, showing up for that training session that took place following the signings earlier this week. Really, really cool stuff from Charlotte FC. The next contest comes against another squad from north of the border. For the second consecutive game, we take on a squad from Canada. We'll check in on the Vancouver Whitecaps, who coincidentally are playing this evening. We got a chance to steal some time with our friend Corey Basso from the Whitecap Radio Network here on Crown Corner. It is Crown Corner for the week of Vancouver, which means that our opposition research goes north of the border for the second consecutive week. Man who is on the radio team for the Vancouver Whitecaps on AM 730 in Vancouver is Corey Basso. He joins us on Crown Corner as we get you ready for Charlotte FC in Vancouver. Although, Corey, as we understand it, your attention will be divided this week because you guys got a pretty big one Wednesday night as well against FC Dallas in a Western Conference tilt. What's it like having this dual MLS week that you guys have here coming up?
Well, first off, thank you so much, Will. Thank you so much, Jess. Thank you so much, North Carolina, for having me here on the show. It's a pleasure to be here, and you're 100% right. The southern portion of the United States are keeping the Whitecaps busy this week. Obviously, we got our old foes, FC Dallas, the Toros, in town today, I believe, if this show's airing on a Wednesday. And then we got you guys down in Charlotte, which unfortunately I won't be making the trip down. And I was telling you guys off there that it's one of my bucket list kind of states. You guys got a lot of cool things to do down there. But yeah, man, it's a big week. And it's a week where the Whitecaps, they can't get too high on home performances. They need to get points here because they're still flirting with the bottom of the MLS West table. Not exactly a fantastic start. They're starting to pick up results at home, whether it's in the Cup, in our Canadian Cup domestic championship, or in the MLS. But the draw against San Jose last weekend didn't do us a ton of favors. 3 points there would have been massive, not just because they're right ahead of us in the MLS West table, but because, like I said, I think we're about 7 points back of that final playoff bar in the West, and it's coming around the third of the season, midpoint of the season. It's squeaky bum time, as me and my partner Colin Miller like to say. And yeah, you got to start stacking up some points here before you're on the outside looking in.
So obviously, as a team, you look at the results table, you look at where you're at in the table. But when you look at the results, you've been competitive in most matches. Can you summarize how you felt in the majority of your games this season?
Oh, it's been a bit of a double-sided coin, Jess, because on the road, the Whitecaps, it's been a bit of a barren run. They haven't registered a single point, and outside of maybe 15-minute spells on the road, it's been a bit of a tough slug. We've had to play road performances where we've been battered for a good portion of it. Where on the other side, we've been playing much better at home. I mean, the guy who the straw that's stirring the Kool-Aid for the Whitecaps, as I'm sure you guys know, is Ryan Gauld, the Scotsman. But unfortunately, he won't be available for Wednesday's affair with Dallas. He wasn't available for the past affair this weekend against San Jose. And he's kind of the Whitecaps' bread and butter. He's their real money player. And without them, not to say that it's a massive loss, because the lads, they can put their best foot forward and they have a never say die attitude. They'll slug it out with any competitor here in the MLS. But it's that little bit of quality that always puts you over the top in the MLS. And that's what the Whitecaps have been lacking here against without Ryan Gauld, I should say. But back to your original question, it's just been a bit of inconsistency, maybe due to the fact that Vanni Sartini has gone through a few formations. He started out with a back three, which didn't do the Whitecaps any favors. They were getting peeled apart left, right, and center. All it really took was a long ping diagonal ball to open up the Whitecaps defense if the wingbacks hadn't dropped. He rejigged himself back into a back four, which I think has done a little bit for the Whitecaps defensively. But I think they just need to find some consistency. Their forward man, Lucas Cavallini and Brian White, they've gotten goals, but they haven't gotten the amount of goals and chances that I'm sure they would have wanted. So I think they're just trying to still figure a way of putting things together from both the front and the back, get rid of injuries and try and find something on the road, because yeah, bless your heart, you can get your points at home, but if you don't manage to squeak out a few points here and there, steal a couple on the road, it might be a tough ask for the playoffs.
You're preaching to the choir. Have you seen that record? Preaching to the choir a little bit, man.
Seems like we have a lot of kindred spirit nature when it comes to these two sides coming in this weekend. U.S. men's national team fans will know the symbiosis when it comes to both Bob and Michael Bradley back in the day. Of course, you have a similar situation here with Sebastian Burhalter playing, of course, for Vancouver, and his father, Greg, is the U.S. men's national team coach. What have been your initial impressions of Sebastian as he continues to get acclimated to this squad?
I really like what the lad has brought to the table so far. Obviously, it's been a small sample size. He's gotten some minutes as far as loan out at Austin and a Columbus crewman initially, but he's played quite a few minutes here for the Whitecaps in the early portion of the season. And he's one of mine and Colin Miller, my broadcast partner's favorite players to watch, because he's got a youthful exuberance about him. He's not afraid to throw in a tackle. He's not afraid to wear an elbow or two. He'll get in the middle of things. He's not afraid of a little argy-bargy, but he can also play the ball. He's a silky player on the deck, and he also has a great range of passing from a distance. I think it's a matter of just finding him a partner that works in the middle of the field. It has been Russell Tybert this season. It's been Michael Baldissimo for some portions, Leo Owusu for a little bit at the start. The Whitecaps obviously making a big new signing, the Paraguayan Andres Cubas, which we're hoping, because he's expected to kind of change things in the middle of the park for us, he can come in sooner rather than later, and I would expect he would partner Burhalter in the middle of the center of the park. But I think it's a young lad still learning his trade and still learning, like I said, a bit of consistency, but you see all the tools there, as I mentioned. Defensively, not afraid of a one-on-one battle. He's not afraid to mix it up from a team element as well. He plays for the team, and he can also ping the ball as well, and he can whip in some set piece service as well. So I don't think Sebastian Burhalter is one of those players for your Whitecap supporter or even a neutral where you're looking at and saying, oh, is he of the quality? I think he is of the quality. I think he just needs more minutes, and I think give him a year or two, and this kid could really be something to watch moving forward, not just for the American men's national team, but perhaps for the Whitecaps or another MLS squad as well.
When you look at Charlotte FC, the new boys on the block, they were written off early on. We had a lot of criticism. I'm sure you followed MLS pundits writing Charlotte off early on. What have been your interpretations from the outside looking in of this side?
Well, anytime a new club comes into the league, Jess, I think they always have a magnifying glass on them. And I go back to even when the Whitecaps came into the league, back in 2011, which I know seems like the dinosaur ages ago, but they had their struggles. And I think most expansion teams will have their struggles. The thing that kind of threw a wrench into the mix was when Atlanta United came into the league and they won the trophy and were winning individual trophies hands down. All of a sudden, people thought, oh gosh, we've got to get ourselves an expansion team and this could be us. It's not that easy, unfortunately. And I think Charlotte, despite a magnificent fan base. I was seeing some of those images ahead of the big opener and some of your matches subsequently, and the fan base is certainly there. And I think once again, it's a matter of Charlotte just finding out what works for them, finding out what works for their squad. Obviously, a tough team at home. I worry a bit for the Whitecaps because they struggled at the best of times in some of the half emptier stadiums here in the MLS away teams. But I think Charlotte's going to be a real test for them. And I think it can only go up for Charlotte because, like I said, they've got a good fan base and they want to do well. And a lot of those benchmarks have already been set by the likes of the Atlantas, the Nashvilles. You can even go back as far as Seattle's and the Portlands, who for me are new squads in the MLS, but they've run the table in the last dozen, or I guess you could call it dozen years or so. So I don't think Charlotte are too far off the mark. It's very easy to be critical of a team in their first year. And I think give them a little bit of time to gel, a little bit of time to mesh, a little bit of time to bed into the territory and suss out what they need as a team, because whether they're looking at Europe, South America, or American options as well, different strokes for different folks, man. So I wouldn't be writing off Charlotte by any stretch of the imagination. And I think it's going to be a lovely tilt coming up here on the weekend.
Should be a very fun tilt. Of course, you said the principal focus for y'all is what comes up tonight against FC Dallas. Best you can guess, because I know that you really don't know because of health and safety protocols with a couple of guys, but how much of that squad do you think will be able to play on Sunday? I know getting the extra day is probably a little bit more of a help for what happens here, but we're going to have to do something similar in U.S. Open Cup here next week, because we've got New York Red Bulls in the midweek before a game in Seattle. So in terms of what you're looking for on Sunday, what would be kind of your best guess of what we might be able to see on the pitch on Sunday?
Well, from what I've been led to believe after training today, Will, is that Ryan Gauld, best case scenario for the Wednesday match coming up here against Dallas, is on the bench. So you would assume, hopefully, because I know he's adhering to all the protocols, health protocols, what have you, he should be available for Sunday. Whether or not it's going to be from a bench performance, I don't know. I think you can expect a Lucas Cavallini performance, or appearance, I should say. I think you can expect a Brian White appearance. Obviously, Thomas Asal, our starting goalkeeper's out for a little while, so I would anticipate that Cody Cropper gets back in the mix. Eric Godoy, our Argentinian defender, he'll be back into things, because despite his injury woes in years past, Vanni Sartini, I think, has kind of sussed out the minutes he needs to see to keep him not just at his top level, but performing and not taking injuries. So I think Eric Godoy is probably a good shout for this weekend's performance against Charlotte, as well as Jake Nerwinski, Javane Brown. I think Sebastian Burhalter gets into the mix. Christian Dahome. I think Ryan Raposo, who's been on fire for the Whitecaps too, is probably a sure bet. He's got, I think, 2 or 3 assists and a couple goals in his last performances across all competitions. So if you look at the lineup tonight against Dallas, I don't think there'll be a ton of tweaks. Obviously, Vanny's going to do a little bit of refreshing and a little bit of circulation just for, I think, legs, and of course the road trip, where, like I said, for some reason the Whitecaps, they just can't get their stuff together on the road. So it could be a bit of a tough haul for them. And Vanny might want to go back to a squad that has just gotten him results, as opposed to maybe just trying to freshen things up for the sake of freshening things up. But you never know with Vanny. We call him the Tinkerman 2.0. He's obviously learned from Claudio Ranieri, another fantastic Italian coach. So we'll see what happens in Charlotte. Either way, I know you guys will welcome us with open arms. It'll be a rocking crowd. There'll be a few hot dogs and a few pints of beers consumed, and we'll all enjoy ourselves. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Well, we also thank you for the hospitality here, welcoming us into the league. We've had a great opportunity getting to know all the people across this league so far in our first season, and we hope to see a good match on Sunday.
Anytime, guys, anytime. It was a pleasure joining you, Will. Pleasure joining you, Jess. All the best moving forward here for you guys in Charlotte, and best of luck outside of this weekend. Go Whitecaps.
That is Corey Basso from Vancouver. I just wish he had a little more energy, Jess. I don't know about you.
I'd like to bottle it up and take it for my drives in the morning. It's plenty of energy, great guy, and lots of knowledge as well. And fantastic opportunity for us all for some MLS After Dark tonight, 10 p.m. Get in and watch and do some scouting. It's going to be exciting, even if we might need a coffee or two to make sure we're up in time.
Yeah, shoes on the other foot this week. Last week we had the midweek contest, and this week they will have to do that as well. We had an opportunity just before the broadcast this evening to hear from Zoran Kernetta. He spoke to the media primarily about the Charlotte FC match with Chelsea, but also had this to say about the current status of the club: 13 points in 12 matches at the 1/3 part of the regular season.
Never lies. So we are where we should be in many ways. But yeah, I think there are certain moments that I feel that we deserve more out of the games. Let's look at Atlanta game where we conceived a goal in the 97th minute of the extra time, and even our first game against DC, where I didn't really feel that the result gone against the run of play completely. We had a few more games where we could, Colorado game, we were, I believe, better team. We should have gone with 3 points. So yes, but to be honest, for us, the most important thing at this stage of the season is to stay close to the playoffs and stay competitive.
And that's exactly what we're doing. Staying close, being competitive. Like you said, we've never really felt completely blown out of the water in any match. Yeah, last weekend was frustrating, but it wasn't like we were blown out of the water. We just didn't show what we can do. So when you compare how we're playing now to the side we saw in Charleston and what we were probably predicting to do back in those miserable February days, I think we're very satisfied with where we're standing. And if we can pick up our form on the road and solidify things and kind of iron out a few of those errors, I think we could really be competitive in hopefully making a play for the playoffs.
I'd hope to think too, Jess, that we go back to that 4-3-3. Again, we don't know what happens until we see the first team form on Sunday. But I do feel like, at least from our standpoint, the way that I think the team felt, and I think the way that a lot of the folks who watched the team felt, is that we didn't do ourselves the best service by going with the 4-4-2. I think the 4-3-3, with the reinforcements that have come in with Camille and Andre and some of these other players who are bringing in, I feel like that's probably going to be our best shape going forward.
Yeah, the 4-4-2 served its purpose during some really difficult games where we didn't have the personnel. But now, like you say, we've got those reinforcements. We've got the players that seem to be happy in a 4-3-3 as well. And it's a more aggressive, it's a more offensive minded. And I think particularly when you're at home, that's how you need to believe. You need to believe that you're going to win every match. You don't need to ever set up in a mindset that we're going to defend and try and, keep it at 0-0.
I'm wondering if this could be the first week we see that top three of Shinyashiki, Jelsviak, and Swiderski as the top three, because I feel like that could be our most lethal combination until we get Kerwin Vargas, who, again, as we said earlier in the show, is in town tonight and should be with the club tomorrow. But even so, having him off the bench as a U22 player and those other three, I mean, that is going to let real goals happen, I think.
But to quote Corey, I think if we line up that way and Vancouver sees that lineup, it may be squeaky bum time for them, because that's a real forward-thinking mindset that would be very difficult to handle. So fingers crossed, that's what we see. But we are not Miguel and Ramirez, and we trust in Miguel, right, Will?
Absolutely, we do. We also trust in this club, who will get an opportunity to face off against a real great side in Chelsea FC coming up on the 20th of July. Charlotte FC just announced that as official earlier today. Here is Zoran Kernetta talking about what that might mean for this club and how he feels that Charlotte FC can not only put forth a representative side, but possibly get a victory in this Chelsea friendly.
Team is built to play to win. I mean, these players all believe in themselves, and they will try to win every game, regardless of who they play. Of course, they will respect Chelsea, but also the Chelsea will be in a pre-season, and Chelsea will mix and match their squad throughout the game. So I feel positive. It'll be a good game of soccer, and I'm sure that everyone would enjoy, our fans, myself, and you guys as well. And I would like to take this opportunity to invite you all. I think you would love to kind of probably come and see some of, especially what I would like to point out. I'd love to see some of the young American stars like Ben Bedner or George Marks maybe getting some minutes, and Chris Haggard. So it'll be great to see how the American talent compares to the best of the best in the world.
Really exciting matchup and a great opportunity for more of the Carolinas to get to see what Charlotte FC is about as well. A lot of people that maybe have turned their nose up at MLS a little bit will probably come knocking on the doors of Bank of America Stadium when they see Chelsea in town, and hopefully that will enable them to be treated to Charlotte FC and sort of remove a little bit of that pride in terms of their soccer supporting habits as well.
Certainly so. We ask you to get your questions in now. Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. We'll answer those at the end of our broadcast. Before that, we'll give you a chance to hear from last weekend's coronation honoree, Heidi Underhill. She's part of Southbound and Crown. If you know the Charlotte FC club, you know about her and their story. We had a chance to sit down with her to talk about how special a moment that was last week. It is supporter spotlight time here on Crown Corner, and we circle back to our friends to the south of the North Carolina border, southbound in Crown, and we bring on somebody who was lucky enough and honored enough to be a part of the coronation ceremony this past weekend for Charlotte FC. It's someone who's a real great part of the Charlotte FC community, Heidi Underhill. She joins us from southbound in Crown for our supporter spotlight. First off, Heidi, how awesome was it to be recognized by the club and sit in the throne on Saturday night?
It was amazing. It was crazy, absurd. It was amazing. I feel very honored to be really the first fan to get the coronation badge crown.
It was an amazing experience. We loved looking over and watching it happen. How have you been feeling the season's going from a fan perspective?
Oh, well, from a supporters group and fan perspective, I just think that we have the best fans in the MLS. I'm so excited to be a part of it. I feel like we're really making history every day. It's just awesome. It's just awesome.
It seems too that every time we look out from where our perch is, we're always very just gratified by the way not only the supporter section sounds, but even last week we probably saw our biggest crowd since the home opener against the LA Galaxy. What have you noticed from a fan perspective in terms of, it seems like more and more people are not only talking about this club, they're getting to know this club, and even more and more we're seeing them participate not just in the supporters section, but stadium wide for the full 90 minutes.
Yeah, it's wild. So I feel like even walking around town, I'm seeing people in Charlotte FC gear. It's just such a buzz. Everybody's so excited. I think every day I have a conversation with somebody about Charlotte FC, and either they've been to a game or they plan on going to a game. So I think, the newness of the first season is one thing, but I think it's more the reputation that we're creating about what a great atmosphere it is and how awesome it is to be there. People want to experience that.
And speaking about being awesome to be there, another awesome part is at the end of the match, seeing the players coming up, spending time with you guys, signing autographs, taking pictures. How important do you feel that connection between fans and players and manager it is within this club?
It's been amazing. I think my son's jersey has like 8 or 10 signatures by now. It's been incredible. I think that the way that they reach out to us, and even social media, retweeting us on Twitter, and they're just a huge part of it, and they love us. They know we love them. I think it's a great relationship.
And I think also just having these 3 home games in a row in May has kind of recharged us. The fact that we had 3 road games in a row, I know that for a lot of people, whether or not they go on the road trips or go to the watch parties, it's obviously something where I think it's still at a point where we're trying to get people to not only pay attention to what's going on when they're in town, but also when they're out of town. Your group does a real great job, Southbound and Crown does, of promoting a lot of these watch parties around town, not just in South Carolina, but in Charlotte and elsewhere. How much are you guys kind of getting the word out as far as not just the games themselves that are at home, but also getting the word out about that Charlotte FC bar network that allows for that collegiality when the team might not be at home?
Yeah, our watch parties have been incredible. Of course, we started in South Carolina in York County, but we have so many people now in North Carolina that just are friends with us, so they joined our group. So yeah, we have viewing parties in Charlotte, in York County. Columbia has great viewing parties, our Greenville area. The bars have been amazing, just really wanting to be a part of it. It's great. I think that the watch parties have their own amount of atmosphere and fun. They're not as fun as being at a home game, but it's still great to get together and support the team that way.
And we talk about supporting the team on and off of the pitch. Obviously, a huge part of what Southbound does as well is within the community. What have you guys been up to recently, and what do you have planned for the near future as well in the community?
Yeah, so Southbound currently, I think on June 25th, I think, in Greenville at Tetrad, which is a brewing company there where we do have our Greenville area watch parties. They are partnering with the animal adoption event. And so 10% of all sales that day are going to go to animal care. And they'll also have, I think, they'll bring dogs with them. I think it's like 3 hours where you can adopt a dog there. So we've partnered with them for that. Southbound also recently came out with our own kits. So we're super excited about that. 10% or $10 from every sale goes to our Because of Brenton Fund, which goes toward youth clubs, youth teams, not just soccer, but youth in all sports.
I know that it's something that is very special to you, how much this group has really adopted Brenton's memory as their own. I'm sure it's something for you, at least from the standpoint of an appreciation standpoint. This is something that you really take seriously. How awesome has it been for people to rally around not just his memory, but also turn it into something positive for the community?
I can't think of a better way to honor somebody. Brenton's story's out there. He really died a hero. It was tragic. And the way that we've turned it around and just turned his story into a way to fundraise and honor him, he would be so, I know he's so happy about it. No, we don't want to remember him in a sad light. I just want his name to bring joy to people. And that's how we remember him. He's funny, fun, charismatic, and just to be able to carry on in his honor and provide something for the kids and do all this great work for him in his honor is awesome. It's really incredible. So grateful to Southbound and Crown.
We also want to at least touch on something that Morgan, your colleague from Southbound and Crown, brought up as well. La Femme Footy doing the great work as well during the month of May with the folks at Noda Brewing. I believe we have one more weekend of that, if I'm not mistaken, Heidi?
Yes. Yeah. So there's one more weekend for Noda for every pitch side. The percentage of that, I don't remember the percentage, goes toward goes to a donation. We also had the Can for Can drive.
Yes.
And we were so blessed. We got so many diapers, and it wasn't just food. So we got diapers and formula, which there's a formula shortage going on right now. So that was amazing. The whole community, our whole Charlotte FC community really pitched in there.
Well, Heidi, we very much appreciate your time, appreciate the great work that you guys at Southbound and Crown are doing. Again, they're on Twitter at Southbound Crown. You can see them out of the supporter section every home match, and also find their bar network as well on their social media. Thank you so much, Heidi, and we'll see you on Saturday, or excuse me, we'll see you Sunday, I should say, at the last home game of this stretch. Appreciate it.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
That is Heidi Underhill from Southbound and Crown. And, of course, if you are listening to us on Sunday, we are on the air at 4:30 for a 5 p.m. first kick at Bank of America Stadium. This is an interesting week coming up here for Charlotte FC, Jess, just because we have not only this contest on Sunday, but we have an immediate Wednesday tilt against New York Red Bulls in the U.S. Open Cup. And then following that, the Sunday at Seattle. Priorities might be a tad divided when it comes to this, just because I know the Open Cup is something that Miguel Angel Ramirez will take very seriously, as well as the two league contests.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting to see what adjustments Miguel makes in the Open Cup now that And it's no disrespect to Charlotte's two previous opponents, but they were in a different league. You know, they weren't MLS opponents. I wonder as we get to last 16, if Miguel really sees this, which it is, a realistic opportunity to progress and potentially get some silverware in your inaugural season, do you start to put your focus on that, knowing that you've then got the bye week with the international break? So really interesting time. Obviously, take it one game at a time. And most importantly, right now, it's turning that wrong into a right and getting 3 points on Sunday that's most important.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see what Vancouver looks like tonight. You mentioned it; they play 10 o'clock ESPN Plus. If you guys have that, they take on FC Dallas, which is one of our future opponents too. The MLS schedule maker didn't do us any favors. We have to play 6 of the top 8 that are currently sitting in the Western Conference, and then Vancouver as well as Seattle. Seattle, I think, is a lot better than their record shows, just because they obviously won the CONCACAF Champions League match with Puma. So this is not a situation for Charlotte FC where I feel like they can sleep on anybody right now, just because of the fact that Vancouver comes in bottom of the table.
No, it's vital that they treat them with respect, but remember they're at home and go out to win this match instead of playing scared. And I think we can really take 3 points as long as we put in the performance that we know our players are capable of.
We'll look forward to it. I know that Charlotte FC fans will be packing Bank of America Stadium as a whole. It'll be very, very great to see you guys out there on Sunday. It's the final match of 3 consecutive home matches. And then, of course, you have the opportunity to have another one coming up right after the international break against New York Red Bulls. It'll be the second time we play them in a little bit over a month. But final thought, Jess, I know that we've kind of near the end of our time here. We got about 2 minutes left, but I do feel like, from Charlotte's perspective, as long as we wash away what happened last week, I feel very, very good about the situation coming up here on Sunday.
Definitely. I think that as long as we perform to our best of our abilities, play the way we know we can, iron out the errors, and really play aggressive soccer, then we will definitely be able to pick up a victory and, most importantly, to make the most of this home stand.
Thanks again to Matt Hogan for putting everything together for us. Thank you as well for listening and commenting. You can always find us not only on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube, but if you missed any part of this, we make sure that it's available for you on demand wherever you get your podcasts. And thanks as well to Heidi, who I guess just put forth a comment. She said she's glad she got to come on the show, and we appreciate having her on. We thank also Corey Basso from Vancouver. We thank Andre Shinyashiki from the club. We thank you as well. For Jess, I'm Will. We'll talk to you on the broadcast Sunday at 5 on WFNZ and the Charlotte FC Radio Network.